My name is Victoria Hayes. I'm 34 years old, and exactly 11 minutes after I discover the second phone hidden in my husband's gym bag, my entire world shattered into pieces I didn't know how to reassemble. It was a Tuesday evening at 6:43 p.m., and I was looking for his insurance card because our daughter Sophie had fallen at school and needed stitches. What I found instead was a device I'd never seen before, an iPhone with a cracked screen and a lock screen photo that made my stomach drop. Derek, my husband of 9 years, with his arms around a blonde woman and 2 children who weren't ours. The phone buzzed in my trembling hands. A text message preview lit up the screen. "Can't wait to see you tonight, babe. The kids are asking when Daddy's coming home." I stood frozen in our bedroom, the same bedroom where we'd made love just that morning, where he'd kissed me goodbye and said he'd be working late at the office. Working late. The lie was so casual, so practiced, that I realized this wasn't new, this was routine. By the time I sat down on our bed, hands shaking so violently I could barely hold the phone, I'd counted 47 unread messages from her. From Amanda, just her first name in his contacts, no last name, as if that would somehow make it less real. I scrolled through enough to understand this wasn't an affair. This was a whole other life, complete and fully formed, running parallel to ours for what looked like at least 6 years, based on the photo timestamps. 6 years of lies. 6 years of him splitting himself in half, playing devoted husband and father in 2 separate homes. Before I explain what happened next, let me know where you're viewing from, and hit subscribe if you've ever discovered something that made you question every single moment of your relationship, every memory you thought was real. To really understand why Derek's betrayal cuts so deep, you'd have to go back 7 years to when Sophie was 2 years old and I made the decision that would define our marriage. Derek had just started his position as senior account manager at Northbridge Capital, a wealth management firm in downtown Seattle. The hours were brutal, 60, sometimes 70 hours per week, and the pressure was intense. "I need you to be my anchor," he'd said one night, holding both my hands across our small kitchen table. "I can't do this job, build our future, if I'm worried about Sophie or the house or all the logistics. I need to know you're handling everything here." I was working as a pharmaceutical sales rep at the time, making $73,000 a year, not insignificant money. But Derek painted this picture of our future, the bigger house, the college fund fully funded, the security of knowing we'd never struggle. 5 years, he'd promised. "Give me 5 years of being able to focus completely on climbing this ladder, and then we'll be set for life." So I quit. I became a stay-at-home mom, managing every aspect of our household, so Derek could dedicate himself fully to his career. I coordinated Sophie's doctor appointments, handled all the home maintenance, managed our finances, cooked every meal, did every load of laundry. I became the invisible infrastructure that allowed his life to function seamlessly. My best friend Lauren saw it happening in real time. "You're erasing yourself," she told me one afternoon at the park, while Sophie played on the swings. "You had a career, Victoria. You had your own identity. It's temporary," I'd insisted. "We're building something together." But 5 years came and went. Then 6. Then 7. Derek's career flourished. He made senior vice president. His salary jumped to $340,000 a year. We moved to the house in Laurelhurst, the neighborhood with the best schools. From the outside, we'd achieved everything we'd planned. What I didn't see was that Derek had taken my complete dedication as permission to do whatever he wanted. Because why would he stop at one family when he could have 2? The build-up to discovery had been there all along. Like how Derek always kept his phone face down on every surface, a habit that had started about 6 years ago. Client confidentiality, he'd explain. Or how his business trips had a pattern. Every other weekend, like clockwork. He'd leave Friday afternoon and return late Sunday night, exhausted but satisfied. There were the credit card statements I'd stopped scrutinizing because Derek handled all our finances. "You don't need to worry about the money stuff," he'd said. "That's my domain." I found out later he'd rented a townhouse in Ballard, a nice 3-bedroom place for $3,400 a month. Amanda didn't work. She stayed home with their kids, Maya, who was 6, and Tyler, who was 4. Derek was supporting 2 full households on his salary, spending close to $150,000 annually on his second family alone. Lauren had noticed changes I dismissed. "He seems different lately," she'd mentioned about 3 months before my discovery. "More distant with you." "He's just stressed with work," I'd said. But she'd been right. His mind was somewhere else. It was in Ballard, in a townhouse I'd never seen, with children I'd never met, with a woman who probably believed in his promises just as completely as I had. The breaking point came in stages. First, that Tuesday evening discovery. Then, the decision of what to do with the information. I didn't confront him immediately. Something told me to wait, to understand the full scope before reacting. I put the phone back exactly where I'd found it. I spent that entire night lying awake next to him while he slept peacefully, oblivious. My mind raced through 7 years of memories, recoloring each one with this new truth. The next morning, Wednesday, I did something I'd never done before. I followed him. I called Lauren at 7:15 a.m., voice shaking. "Can you watch Sophie today? I'll explain everything later." Derek left for the office at his usual time, 8:30 a.m. I waited 5 minutes, then got in my Honda CR-V and followed his Tesla at a careful distance. He didn't go downtown. He drove north, toward Ballard, parking in front of a tidy townhouse with a blue door and children's bikes on the small front porch. I watched from down the street, engine running, hands gripping the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles turned white. The door opened. A blonde woman, Amanda, stepped out in yoga pants and a sweatshirt, smiling. 2 children rushed past her. Derek caught the girl up in his arms, spinning her around as she giggled. The boy wrapped around his leg. He kissed Amanda, slow and tender, the kind of kiss that spoke of routine intimacy. I watched him be a father to children who weren't his only children. I watched him be a husband to a woman who wasn't his only wife. And something fundamental cracked inside me. I drove home carefully. Lauren was waiting at my house with Sophie. One look at my face and she sent Sophie upstairs to play. "Tell me," she said simply. So I did. I told her everything. And as I spoke, a plan began forming. Derek's 35th birthday was in 3 weeks, scheduled for Saturday, April 15th. His mother was planning a celebration at their home in Bellevue, a big family party with his colleagues from work. Derek loved being celebrated. "I'm going to let him have his party," I told Lauren. "I'm going to smile and play the devoted wife one last time. And then I'm going to burn his entire world down in front of everyone who matters to him." Lauren's eyes widened. "Victoria, are you sure?" "Not as brutal as what he's done to me," I replied. The next 3 weeks were the longest of my life. I had to continue pretending everything was normal. I cooked his dinners. I did his laundry. I kissed him goodbye. And the entire time, I was gathering evidence. I hired a private investigator named David Chun. He cost $3,200 for 2 weeks of surveillance, money I quietly pulled from our joint account. David was thorough. He confirmed everything. The townhouse lease in Derek's name, the frequency of his visits, photos of Derek at a Ballard playground with all 3 kids. I accessed every financial record I could find. Credit card statements going back 6 years revealed duplicate purchases, children's clothes, toys, groceries. Venmo transactions to Amanda Morrison, for utilities and groceries, totaling $4,200 a month. I created a spreadsheet, every lie I could verify, every dollar spent on his double life, every weekend he'd chosen them over us. The numbers were staggering, $847,000 over 6 years. Nearly $1 million spent maintaining the fantasy. I also found their family photos, a shared Google Photos album, password protected, but his passwords followed a pattern I'd figured out years ago. Hundreds of photos, birthday parties, Halloween costumes, Christmas mornings, beach vacations I'd never been on. Lauren helped me prepare for the party. "You're sure about this?" she asked as we worked on creating a photo display. "There's no going back once you do this." "There's no going back anyway," I replied. "The only question is whether I let him control the narrative or whether I take that power for myself." We printed photos. Derek with Amanda and the kids at the zoo. Derek pushing Tyler on a swing. Derek at Maya's 6th birthday party. Derek kissing Amanda on New Year's Eve while I'd been at his mother's house with Sophie. I also printed the financial records. The spreadsheet, a timeline showing exactly how long the double life had been going on. And I prepared a USB drive with copies of everything. The Saturday of the party arrived. I woke up before Derek, careful not to disturb him. I'd barely slept. The party started at 2 p.m. I'd arrive exactly on time. I chose my clothes carefully, a navy blue dress Derek had always complimented, pearl earrings he'd given me for our 5th anniversary. Sophie wore a pink dress and white tights. She had no idea what was about to happen. "Daddy's going to be so surprised," Sophie said excitedly in the car. "Yes, sweetheart," I replied. "He certainly will be." Lauren followed behind us in her own car with what she'd started calling the truth boxes. 2 large storage containers filled with all the evidence. We'd coordinated the timing precisely. Derek's mother Patricia's house in Bellevue was already full when we arrived. Derek's 2 younger sisters, Jennifer and Michelle, were in the kitchen. His brother David was outside on the deck with several colleagues, already drinking beer. Patricia held court in the living room, blue and silver balloons, a banner reading, "Happy 35th birthday, Derek." Derek himself stood in the center of it all. He saw Sophie and me walk in, and his entire face lit up. "There's my girls," he called out, opening his arms wide. Sophie ran to him immediately. He swept her up. I walked over more slowly, accepting his kiss on my cheek. "You look beautiful," he murmured in my ear. "Thank you," I replied, my smile never faltering. "Happy birthday, darling." The next hour passed in a blur. I chatted with Jennifer about her new job. I helped Patricia arrange the birthday cake. I played my role flawlessly. At 3:20 p.m. my phone buzzed. A text from Lauren. "Pulling up now." "Ready." I texted back. "Park around the corner. Give me 5 minutes, then bring everything to the front door." I walked back out into the party. Derek was surrounded by his colleagues, telling some animated story. He was in his element. I caught Patricia's eye. "Patricia, could I borrow everyone's attention for just a moment? I have a special birthday surprise for Derek." She looked mildly annoyed but nodded. "Of course, dear." I walked to the center of the living room. The conversation gradually died down. "Thank you all for coming to celebrate Derek today," I began. "We've been together for nearly 10 years, married for 9, and I wanted to share some special memories." Derek looked pleased. The doorbell rang. Perfect timing. "Actually, could someone get that?" I asked Patricia. She went to the door. I heard her confused voice, then Lauren's clear response. "I have a delivery for Victoria Hayes. Special birthday presentation materials." Lauren carried in the first large box. "Just set them here, Lauren." "Thank you." Confusion rippled through the room. Derek's expression shifted from pleased to puzzled. Lauren set down both boxes, gave my hand a quick squeeze, and stepped back. "So," I continued, opening the first box, "I thought for Derek's birthday, we could all celebrate the full scope of his life." I pulled out the first poster board and held it up. It was a blown-up photo of Derek, Amanda, Maya, and Tyler at the zoo. Timestamp visible, July 2022. Patricia gasped. Derek's face went completely white. "This is Amanda Morrison," I announced. "And these are Maya and Tyler Mitchell, Derek's other family." The silence was absolute. Sophie, too young to understand, tugged on Derek's hand. "Daddy, who are they?" Derek opened his mouth, but no sound came out. I set down the first photo and pulled out another. "This one is from Tyler's 4th birthday party. March 2023. Derek, you told me you were in San Francisco that weekend." I continued, pulling out photo after photo. "Here's Christmas morning 2022. Here's Maya's first day of kindergarten. Here's a family beach vacation in Oregon." "Victoria, stop." Derek's voice finally worked, rough and panicked. "This isn't, you don't understand." "I don't understand." I interrupted. "I don't understand how you maintained 2 complete households for 6 years. I don't understand how you looked Sophie and me in the eye every single day and lied." I reached into the second box and pulled out the financial records. "But I do understand money. So let me share some numbers. 6 years of rent payments, $244,800. Groceries, utilities, insurance, $151,200. Children's expenses for 3 kids instead of 1, $186,000. Total estimated expenditure on your double life, $847,000. I locked eyes with Patricia. "That's why we weren't saving more despite Derek's impressive salary, Patricia. Now you know where it went." David spoke up. Derek, please tell me this isn't real. But Derek couldn't. His colleagues were pulling out their phones. This was going to be all over Northbridge Capital by Monday. There's more, I continued. I pulled out a printed timeline. Every other weekend for 6 years, Derek told me he had mandatory business obligations. In reality, he was in Ballard with Amanda and the kids. I unfolded the timeline. 447 lies that I've been able to verify. Lauren handed me a remote control. I pressed the button, and a slideshow began playing on Patricia's TV. Photos played across the screen, showing Derek's double life in excruciating detail. Derek used to tell me I was his anchor, I said softly. That my willingness to stay home, to manage everything, allowed him to focus on building our future. What he meant was that it gave him the freedom to build 2 futures simultaneously. Patricia finally found her voice. Derek, tell me this isn't true. Derek looked at his mother, tears streaming down his face. Mom, I can explain. Jennifer's voice shook with anger. You have another wife? Other children? She's not my wife, Derek said desperately. Amanda and I aren't married. Oh, well then that makes it so much better, Michelle said sarcastically. One of his colleagues, Robert Shin, spoke up. Derek, I'm going to need your company phone and laptop by Monday morning. If you've been misrepresenting business travel, that's grounds for immediate termination. Patricia sat down heavily. Get out, she said quietly to Derek. Get out of my house. Mom, please. Get out. How dare you do this to Victoria, to Sophie, to this family? Derek turned to me, desperate. Victoria, please. We need to talk. I can explain. I laughed, a sharp, bitter sound. It's exactly what it looks like. You made me believe I was enough. Every single day for 6 years, you lied so smoothly that I never once suspected. That's what breaks my heart. Not that you stopped loving me, but that maybe you never actually did. Sophie started crying. Lauren immediately went to her, carrying her outside. I do love you, Derek said, reaching for my hand. This was never about you not being enough. I don't want to be perfect, I said, pulling away. I want to be respected. I want to be valued. I want to be someone's only choice. I picked up my purse and the USB drive. I've retained a divorce attorney. Her name is Susan Caldwell. You'll be hearing from her Monday. I've opened a separate bank account and transferred exactly half of our joint savings. I looked around the room. I'm sorry to ruin your party, Patricia, but I thought everyone deserved to know who they were celebrating. I walked toward the door, then turned back. Oh, and Derek? I called Amanda this morning. Told her everything. She knows about us now. Consider it my birthday gift to you, the truth. I walked out of that house at 3:47 p.m., exactly 17 minutes after the confrontation began. Lauren was waiting with Sophie. I got into my own car and drove away from Derek's birthday party, from the whole perfect life that had been nothing but an elaborate fiction. The aftermath was brutal. By Sunday morning, my phone had exploded with messages. Derek left me 63 voicemails that first night. He showed up at Lauren's house at 2:17 a.m., pounding on the door. The texts from Amanda started Monday. Long paragraphs detailing her side. He told her we were separated. She believed she was helping him through a difficult transition. I'm so sorry, her text said. I had no idea. By Wednesday, Northbridge Capital had placed Derek on administrative leave. The investigation revealed he'd been using company resources for personal travel, claiming hotel rooms as necessary accommodations when he was staying with his other family. The divorce proceedings moved quickly. Susan Caldwell was ruthless. With this level of documented deception, we're in an excellent position, she told me. The settlement was finalized 6 months after the birthday party. I received primary custody of Sophie, 65% of our marital assets including the house, and substantial monthly child support. Derek's relationship with Amanda had dissolved within weeks. She'd moved back to Idaho with Maya and Tyler. Derek was now financially obligated to 3 children in 2 states, his income decimated, his reputation destroyed. A year after that birthday party, I'm rebuilding my life. I went back to school, taking evening classes in business administration. I started working as an executive assistant at a healthcare nonprofit. The work is meaningful. My boss treats me with respect. Sophie is in therapy, working through her feelings. She has a puppy now, a golden retriever mix named Daisy who sleeps in her bed. We've redecorated the house, removing every trace of Derek. New paint colors, new furniture, new photos, just Sophie and me, plus Lauren and her family, who've become our chosen family. The strangest thing is the freedom. 4 years, I organized my days around Derek's schedule. Now my time is my own. Amanda and I text occasionally. She's doing better, rebuilt her life in Idaho. She sends photos of a kid sometimes. Derek's family has been supportive. Patricia still won't speak to him. Jennifer and Michelle have taken Sophie for outings, drawn a clear line showing Derek that his actions have consequences. Looking back, the signs were always there. The phone face down. The emotional distance. I'd explained it all away because I wanted to believe in the life we were supposedly building. Have you experienced a betrayal that made you question your entire reality? How did you find the strength to rebuild? Share your story in the comments below. And if this resonated with you, please subscribe, because sometimes we need to hear that we're not alone, that survival is possible, that we're stronger than we ever imagined. The real lesson is that being someone's anchor shouldn't mean drowning yourself. That sacrifice without reciprocity isn't love, it's exploitation. Real partnership doesn't require one person to shrink so the other can expand. Derek chose to be 2 men living 2 lives. I choose to be 1 woman living 1 honest life. And that, after everything, feels like the only victory that matters.